Hello! Hello Facebook Live, Lindsay Price here. I pushed the button before I was ready, and so now you're going to watch me get ready. So today is, we're talking about, actually it's kind of appropriate, we're talking about rituals and traditions and superstitions. Rituals, traditions, and superstitions, because I think that they're amazing things that you can talk about in the drama classroom, and they're also important things to have in the drama classroom. And I'm going to divide it up between rituals and traditions and then superstitions. Okay. Thank you for having my face in your feed, which looks a little weird. Let's do that. That's a little less weird, eh? Wow, it's my face. What are you going to do? Okay. So here's the reason why rituals and traditions are really important for the drama classroom. They provide structure, right? We're always talking about how the classroom, the drama classroom, is seen as chaos, right? And we want it to be organized chaos, but sometimes chaos is what it is seen as, particularly by administrators. And that sometimes, particularly if you are a new teacher, if you're starting out, there is that whole notion of, well, let's play, right? This is drama class, we must play. And that's great, and that's fine, and that's true, but you also don't want students running amok, right? And that they actually want and need structure. Our students want and need structure. And ritual is a great way to incorporate structure without being like another class, right? Without having the chairs and the desks to instill a structure. Students know as soon as they walk into a class that has chairs and desks, what's going to happen? They're going to sit, everyone's going to be quiet, blah, blah, blah. If you are starting your classes with a ritual or with with a tradition, like a warm-up, if you're starting every class with a warm-up, with a physical warm-up, with a vocal warm-up, your students have a structure. They know that every class starts the same way. We have a playwright, Stephen Stack, who teaches quite a lot. And his classes, they all start and all end the same way. He does check-ins, check-outs. Every class starts with the ritual of a circle, and everyone goes around the circle, and everyone checks in some way, right? It could be something that's just humorous. It could be just one sentence. It could be a lot of sentences. Sometimes, teenagers, they need to really check in with you. And then it goes on with the class. And then every class ends with a checkout. How was class today? Where are you going to next? There is a structure to class for checking in and checking out, which I love. I think warm-ups are an excellent way to check in. For me, it's all also about, you can use journals and bell prompts, particularly if you are working towards a playwriting unit. You want the ritual of coming in and having a prompt on the board and having your students pull out their journals and responding to that prompt. It doesn't take very long. Rituals are not, they don't have to be massive, long-term affairs, right? It is something that is, that everyone knows. Everyone has, their instinct kicks in and they know the steps. Everybody knows the steps in a ritual or a tradition. A really great way to create ritual and tradition, we have Amy Pugh Patel, who is a teacher in Alabama. She's one of our Drama Teacher Academy instructors. And she created a course on creating a mission statement for your class. Mission possible. And that is something that once it was created, that is something that they use as their ritual. Before every production, they say their mission statement out loud, and that's something that everybody knows. It's ingrained in them. And it's something that they also are striving to achieve, they're striving to live up to. And I want to read that mission statement right now. Okay. To be or not to be. Unexpected, dedicated, inspired, and inspiring. To train our bodies, minds, and voices. To perform multiple productions, from original and modern material to classic plays and musicals. To empower young artists and engage the audience. To engineer imagination and build our community. To be or not to be, we choose to be. Aha! I love that. Okay, so we are talking rituals, traditions, and we'll get to some superstitions. What rituals and traditions do you have in your classroom? Do you have for your productions? What are you doing at the beginning of every rehearsal and carrying that on to what your students are doing before they perform? You know, you want to get your students into a mindset of performance, get them ready to take the stage, and rituals are an amazing way to get them ready to go. Rituals and traditions also are a great transformative in that moving from outside world, the world where they have homework and they have problems with their friends, problems with their family, where they're stressed, and they sort of transition into theater world where they have to work on their lines and work on their blocking and work with each other and get ready to put that play on. And if students need tools and techniques to do that, instead of just saying, okay, the show goes up in half an hour, see you then. What are the rituals and the traditions that you can instill in your students that they should be doing before a show begins? What are they doing at the hour and a half? What are they doing at the hour? When are you getting together, having a circle with your cast and your crew where everybody is together? Who says what in this circle? What song is everyone doing together? Is there something that you start on the first day of rehearsal? Gilbert and Sullivan is a good one, where you are learning it one line at a time until you get to that performance nights, and everybody is saying, on the Modern Major General from beginning to end, and everybody can do it flawlessly, and it is something that is building community and building a group bond and a group feeling that everybody's on the same page and everybody's ready to go. So what are the rituals and traditions that you have before a show? Is it a chant? Is it your mission statement? Is it a song? Is it a song that is masking as a vocal warm-up and they don't know it's a vocal warm-up? Is it a physical activity that everybody's doing at the same time? Is it a moment of silence, right? Everyone in a circle holding hands. Is it a prayer? I know lots of schools who that's what they do before they get ready to perform. They take a little moment and they say a prayer, and that's important to them, and that's their ritual. What are you doing? What are you doing? If you've got anything, if you're watching this, throw it down in the comments, share with others. I'm sure there's nothing too strange and too weird that people haven't heard before. What other rituals and traditions that I want to talk to you about? I think that's it. It's really all about community, right? It's really all about how are you getting your students to work together, one. How are you forming structure for your students? Structure and community, I think, are the things that we need to do, right? We're not necessarily, building the next Broadway actor or the Broadway playwright, but to build a community of students who can work together and who know how to work with others and to can bring that all together, and to also have a structure where everybody feels safe in what they have to do, and that they know what to do and when to do it. Okay, superstitions. So theater superstitions are abound. And I think it doesn't matter how far we're going to get in a technological advanced society. I think we're always going to have superstitions that people that freak people out. There's always going to be ghost stories. There's always going to be something that people say, don't do that or else. And the theater is no different. The biggest one, of course, being the Scottish play. And you're in the theater, you know which play I'm talking about when I say the Scottish play. And it's actually lovely because we actually have an adaptation of the Scottish play called Beth. And I've got the link in the description where you can go and check out Beth, which is a parody of the Scottish play. And half of the parody is about how you're not supposed to say the name of the original on stage. And Alison Williams, who wrote Beth, had a myriad of mishaps and many tragedies that happened to her while she was writing this play, from lost wallets to missed flights to fog to missing all kinds of deadlines, and it was an epic not tragedy, not comedy. It was funny.
Adventure?
Huh?
Adventure?
Adventure. Let's call it an adventure. It was a massive adventure, having this experience with her as she was writing this play. And but we have this wonderful comedy adaptation of the Scottish play. And I think it's really funny if you, because there's lots of people who don't believe in this. Hey, the sun is coming at me massively. Okay, ready? We're going to take a switch. 1, 2, 3. There, that's better. The Hamilton, Lin-Manuel Miranda does not obviously believe in this superstition, nor has naming this play on stage hurt him in any way. He said it every night in Hamilton, and mocked the superstition a little bit, and so it hasn't hurt him. So there you go. I'm not going to say it, and I'm not even in a theater. So, but that's one. The other one is the whole break a leg, right? You're not supposed to say good luck to people in the theater. You're supposed to say break a leg. And the origin of that is kind of interesting because there's a bunch of different stories. And actually, I think that is an awesome research project. Discuss superstitions, theater superstitions with your students, and have them research their origin story, right? Because everything that we seem to know now, which is a tradition or a superstition, has a bizarre origin story that sometimes you wouldn't quite think. Break a leg, it could mean that, hang on, because I know the one story about that legs are called, so the theater, not hand gestures, wings, curtains. Thank you, Mr. Mason. Curtains in the wings were called legs. So if you were breaking the legs, that meant you were going on stage, and which would be a good thing. You would want to, in vaudeville, you would want to get on stage and you would want to break the legs. There's also another version that says that in Elizabethan times, break meant the same as bend. And if you were breaking, you were bending and you were bowing a lot. So you were on stage and you were getting a lot of adulation from the audience. It's another story. And there's also, now this one, which is superstition, which is actually has a basis in a thing that is actually true, is that you're not supposed to whistle on stage. Right? It's bad luck to whistle on stage. Well, the reason for that is before there were walkie-talkies and before crew members could actually talk to each other, they would whistle. And there was, if you were whistling, that meant that a stagehand might very well drop a fly on your head. And that would be a thing that would cause you death.
Yes.
Hi, Craig.
Hi, I'm just going to jump in because I think, just to add on to that, I think it's actually that the original flyman
Yes.
The people who operated the
we're
flag
sailors.
were sailors. People who worked on ships, and that's how they communicated instructions back and forth, was by whistling.
Look at that. You got to drop in from Mr. Craig Mason himself, adding on to the story. So that's superstitions. I think that's all the superstitions that I have. But what more do you know? There are many. There's the whole notion that of the ghost light and how that theaters are not, you better not leave your theater in the dark or else the ghosts will come. And what are the superstitions that you know? Watching this, throw them down in the comments. Share what you've got. What are your rituals? What are your traditions? What are your superstitions? And if you're looking for a play that sort of pokes fun at a theater superstition, I would highly suggest Beth. That would be 3 M's. Beth by Allison Williams, which you can find at theaterfolk.com. The link to the play is in the description. It is a hilarious adaptation parody of the original play. It has Duncan, played by, we have Queen Duncan instead of King Duncan. There are, it is an amazing, fast-paced, humorous. We have 2 versions. We have a competition length version because so many people were doing at Thespians and getting disqualified because they were going over time because there was so many people laughing at the show in the audience. I think that if you are afraid of introducing Shakespeare to your students, I think adaptation parodies are a great door. They're a doorway in to a world. And once you get them in the world, and once you get them to the story, once I think that students get to the story of a lot of Shakespeare plays, the language becomes less and less of a barrier. Once they understand what's going on. So that's Beth by Allison Williams. The description is the link. So we've been talking about rituals and traditions and superstitions. What are the rituals and traditions that you start your class with, end your class with, start every rehearsal with, instill in students to do themselves, to do with the group before every show, and get your students to research those superstitions and see what origin stories they can come up with. All right, have a wonderful day.